Ladies and gentlemen, holy bejesus, I just got done watching a fantastic episode in episode 5 of season 4 of From. And as you guys know by now, this is the way we're doing it. We're breaking down the episode, but before we get into it, I just got to tell you, this is one of my favorites of the show. I love this episode. I thought it was really good. I really had a thoroughly good time with it. And I can't wait to break it down today. And I can't wait to do more theories about this. I feel really blessed to be able to sit here today and share this with you guys. So guys, without further ado, let's jump into one of my favorite episodes. Definitely of the season, probably of the series. I really enjoyed this. So we pick up right away, right where the episode left off in episode 4, where we see Donna, Ellis, Patty, and Roger. Roger and Patty, by the way, they're two characters who haven't been in much of the show, so I did have to look up after I watched this what their names were because I wasn't too familiar with them. But all of these people, they're all looking at the floating thing that is outside the lake, and Donna suggests that they should pull it in. Roger thinks that she is absolutely insane for this, and frankly, I think she's absolutely insane for that. Why the fuck would you want to pull that thing in? I don't understand that for the life of me. I would never, ever do that. You would rather catch me dead than have me doing that. I would never freaking do that. Anyway, they decide that they have to because Donna explains that she doesn't want to have to, they're going to have to sleep there tonight, and she doesn't want to have to not know what is down there, because even if they tried at the time that they were there to take off running now to get back to the town, there'd be no way that they get there before dark, and she'd feel a lot better knowing who or what was floating up to the surface. Patty agrees. Patty thinks that she's right for this, and Donna asks for Ellis's opinion. Ellis also thinks that they should pull it in, so they do. I just gotta be honest, I don't understand that. That doesn't make much sense to me. I wouldn't want to fuck with anything that's in the water. Even if it surfaced from me accidentally tampering with it, I'm not fucking with it. I'm not doing it. I got a talisman. Obviously, we come to learn later in the episode that the talismans don't work, but bro, don't pull that shit in. Don't do that. What are you doing? No interest, no desire. Anyway, when they pull it in, Ellis asks what to do with it, and Donna says that they have to pull it on land. So that's the end of that little scene. We come back to it a ton later, but again, as you guys know, I break down scene by scene. So this is the way it's going. I'm going to tell you my feelings in the moment, scene by scene. That was that scene. Anyway, afterwards, Ethan was wrong in thinking that this lake by the village was the Lake of Tears, because the bird that he had thought would be saved if they poured some water on it ended up dying. So Tabitha and Ethan are burying it, and it's clear that this lake, even if it is the Lake of Tears, it could be a reference. You know what I mean? It may not be the actual Lake of Tears, like in the sense that it's going to bring things back to life, but maybe there is a key to it there. And as we come to learn later in the episode, again, I know we're breaking down minute beat by beat, but as we do learn later in the episode, and again, this is going to involve major spoilers, we do learn that there are nightmares that come alive out here in this lake. That is basically the reveal of what those frickin' monster things are. We are going to get to that, I promise. So stick around, all of that stuff. But anyway, he says, after this happens, Ethan says that he's sorry that he had to bury the bird and that they had to do that. And Ethan really wanted it to be the Lake of Tears. Ethan asks Tabitha if they're going to be okay, and Tabitha says she hopes so. And I hope so too, Tabitha. You better watch your freaking kids, man. You better watch your freaking kids. Anyway, after this, we cut to Jade in the post office looking out at the motel sign. After he had taken the mushrooms, he's looking at the motel sign and he sees it flashing, showing that the mushrooms are definitely kicking in. And this is one of my favorite things of this episode, watching Jade trip sack, for lack of a better word, and watching Boyd be a pseudo-trip-sitter, even though the reveal at the end is they never left the freaking room. It was fun to follow this journey, and it was fun for me to trip out with them being like, I would never want Boyd being my trip sitter. Oh my Lanta. Anyway, so after this, like I said, the mushrooms kick in. Jade sees the arrow sign, and he starts seeing spiders, and he sees them crawling all over him. It's just a hallucination, but again, we come back to these spiders. We talked about it a couple episodes ago with the Lake of Tears and the spider coming down from the ceiling being Ethan's dream all that time back in episode 1. If you guys didn't see that video, you might be living under a rock. I don't know, but definitely click up here because there is my Lake of Tears video breaking that scene down. But we're coming back to spiders because they came to him in multiple times in this episode. They came to him in this sequence when there's spiders crawling all over him and Boyd has to pull him out of it. And they came to him later when the Ankooey guy with the eye gives him the blood. We'll come back to it. So afterwards, Jade explains, after the spider thing, Jade explains that he needs Boyd to essentially be the trip sitter for him. Like he needs something to ground him. And they agree that the safety word for that, if things go off the rails and get out of hand, is Capricorn, which is really funny. You know, my safety word, I used to play... It's not really a safety word, but I got to throw this in here. I used to play rec basketball like way back in the day. Little bit of Jerry's Takes lore, and my best friend, practically my brother and I, we were both forwards. And whenever we would want to switch sides, we called it chocolate milk. We would just say chocolate milk and we would switch sides. And then for years, chocolate milk, did I just say Jesus? Chocolate milk kind of became like our safety word. So it's just funny to me. It just brought it back. I just had to bring this up, but it's funny hearing such an outlandish word like Capricorn be brought like that. I thought it was funny. And then Jade, right after they agree on the Capricorn word, Jade says, okay, let's go get weird. Classic shit. I enjoy it. I enjoy watching Jade trip sack because afterwards they go outside of the post office and they go to where the motel sign says this away. So they follow it this away. Afterwards, after this happens, that sequence, we cut to Mariel, Christy, and Sophia. They're in the clinic, and Christy is readjusting Sophia's broken arm. They need to reset the bone, so they do like a count, and they start with 1, and then she readjusts the arm, and I'd be pissing my freaking pants. I know this is the devil we're dealing with in Sophia here. I understand that, but I'd be pee-pee pants city all over the place if I had someone give me a fake countdown and then readjust my arm. I'd be shitting. I'd be shitting her she kisses. Anyway, after this happens, we then cut to Mariel, who needs to go into the ambulance because it turns out that the brace that they need for Sophia is in there. And as she goes into it, she sees Randall and Julie walking into the clinic, and Mariel compliments Julie on her shorter hair. Beautiful. Great. Okay, whatever. Anyway, Mariel goes into the ambulance, and as she opens the cabinet up there to look for the brace, her arms randomly get shackled to the thing, and she starts shaking aggressively. She's like, oh, shizzle gizzlegar. You know what I mean? She's freaking out. I don't know if you guys get the reference, oh, shizzle gizzlegar. That's from Scary Movie 3. Anyway, whatever. It calls her back. She's all shackled up, and it calls her back to the dungeon sequence where she was strapped to the wall with Julie and Randall, which I think is interesting that this keeps happening, and this happened multiple times in the episode because of Sophia. And why the hell is she doing this? Again, it's this Cold War shit that I absolutely love. But what's more interesting is what this is giving Mariel. She begins panicking as she's shackled up, and then she hears the radio. It turns on, and it's just the screams of everyone suffering in the town. She hears, and again, I know we're doing it in scene order, but I have to cut to this just for this moment real quick. It's later revealed, she mentions that this is like all of the town's suffering, and whoever's here, it's this ancient thing that feeds off of people suffering. And it's really interesting to learn that that's the perspective, at least, that Mariel has had from the beginning of this, that she has experienced hearing this suffering. And I'm guessing that's what Julie and Randall did too. But it's very interesting to hear that from her, because I feel like out of the 3 that have had this experience, the one that's been honed in on the most is Julie. But the 3 of them had this shared collective experience of going through this suffering. And yet, for some reason, they never address it. They never talk about it. It seems they don't. And they just kind of go about their business. But I'm at least glad we're getting to explore it through Mariel's eyes and see it there. Anyway, that's when the credits roll. That was everything that just happened was before the credits. We pick back up after the credit rolls back to Donna, Patty, Roger, and Ellis. And they discover that it was creepy dolls that floated to the surface, and they're cleaning up all like the seaweed and sea shit, whatever's on there that's covering them up. And Donna is like deeply disturbed by these dolls, because Donna then starts gunning the dolls to make sure that there's no more surprises. Again, I'm coming back to this. Why the fuck is she doing this? Why? Why would you do this? I wouldn't go anywhere near these goddamn dolls. And even if I did, I'd be like, okay, these are just dolls that floated up, probably from another version of this, of people who've been coming here for centuries. Someone put dolls in there. Yeah, I understand that she's like concerned about it. I do get it completely. Because then she gets like, they get concerned about why someone would put those in the lake. And Donna says, and I quote, shit. There's only one reason that I could think people would put life-size dolls full of stuffing outside. Ethan replies to that saying scarecrows. And then Donna replies saying, put them in the field to scare the crows away. What if the reason these were in the lake is to keep something else down there from coming out? Not a bad theory. Not a bad theory. It's not exactly what happened, but it's not a bad freaking theory. Anyway, Tabitha, she looks at the dolls like longingly, I guess you could say, and is like, I recognize you from somewhere. But then we cut away from it. Obviously, we know where that goes, and we're going to come to it. I have a big section of that towards the end of this. Anyway, after this, the next thing we get is Jade and Boyd. They're in the woods. Jade is tripping Sack, and I really like that he has one of those shots where you could tell like the camera was like on his body, and he was like going like this. I thought it was pretty cool. But anyway, he's like all dizzy and he throws up. And after assuring Boyd that he's okay, Jade insists that they need to set the right intention and ask the right questions. So Jade screams, show me what I used to know that I can't remember. Show me what's in here that it will help us leave. And as he says that, he begins hearing the violin and Boyd doesn't hear it. He walks slightly like over towards where he's hearing that violin, and he sees a younger version of himself playing the violin. And it's a really interesting sequence because it's a memory he has from being a child and playing the violin when he was 12 years old, the day that his grandmother died. And she asked him, like he references that she asked him to play that song. So he played it all day, and at some point he knew that she wasn't in the room anymore. He couldn't look at her, so he just kept playing. And anyway, he's having this like flashback looking at his younger self playing, and he then freaks out even more and breaks down saying that's not at all what he asked for. He didn't want to remember that. He wants to remember why they're stuck here, not something about his family. And Boyd, what am I broiling steak? Anyway, Boyd brings him back, and then when he does, young Jade appears right in front of Jade. And for the rest of this, by the way, because we got a lot of sequences with young Jade, I'm just going to keep it simple. Jade is Jade. Young Jade is young Jade. That's how I'm going to differentiate them. Very original, you guys. I should be the next CEO of Apple. Actually, John Turnus is, and he's going to do a good job. Whatever. Anyway, all that aside, whatever. So he turns to him, he sees him, and then when he turns around in a panic, like after Jade sees young Jade, he turns back around, and then he sees one of the ghosts or like the beings that he's seen in the past, the one with the knife in his head that he saw nailed to a tree in the settlement. So he sees him, and then he turns back to Boyd, and then when he turns back to Boyd, the ghost guy with the stabbed eye says Ankooey, and the ghost wants him to drink the skull of the blood. Boyd's telling him to drink it because it's not real. There's no real blood there. So Boyd's all for it. Boyd's like, go ahead and drink this. So Jade's younger version of himself is telling him not to do that, but he does it anyway. And when he drinks it, he sees the spiders that I mentioned again in it, so he throws up. And it's really interesting. I have no earthly clue what these spiders could mean. Absolutely no freaking idea. Your guess is as good as mine. And as a matter of fact, I would like to hear your guess if you have it. Anyway, the younger version of Jade says shit, and in another language, which is interesting. I think it's French. Maybe I should have done my research before this. You guys let me know in the comments. If any of you are French, let me know. I thought it was a ton of other languages. I thought it could be like, I thought it could be Russian. I thought it could be, I didn't know what the hell that language was. But then there was a couple words in there that sounded French to me. Regardless of what language it is, let me know in the comments what it is if you guys know. I'm very curious. Anyway, so Jade replies back to young Jade saying, why shit? You're not the one who had to drink it. And young Jade says, I told you not to. You don't get to pick and choose your memories. Now you're going to see things that you don't want to see. Before we get any further into the episode, we do see things in this episode. I don't know why Jade wouldn't want to see them. I'm not sure. Is it because he's worried that Jade's going to be like scared or something? I just don't understand why Jade wouldn't want to see these things. I feel like they are very imperative. The stuff we got, are gigantic reveals, actually, as a matter of fact. Anyway, whatever. After young Jade says this, he wanders off, and older Jade follows behind him. So that's where we cut that scene. Then we cut to Fatima, who is still building the golem, and it's taking shape now. And honestly, I just got to interject this here. I do hope this goes somewhere, because right now it kind of feels like just padding. Like, it feels like I guess the point that I'm making is I hope it actually amounts to something and isn't just there to just like add time to the runtime of the episode. Because right now it does kind of slightly feel like that. Yes, there was definitely the big moment there in the last episode where Fatima reveals that she feels what Smiley feels. That is definitely a big thing. But this golem stuff, I just hope if they're going to spend time on it, they don't spend too much more time on it unless it actually comes to mean something. As of right now, I don't know. And I know there's a whole religious element to that, and I'm not really familiar with the folklore. But yeah, anyway, in this scene, we see Kenny coming into the room, and Fatima asks what Kenny needs, and Kenny essentially just apologizes and says that the people of this town are the strongest when we can back each other up. Kenny says that he didn't do that, and Fatima thanks Kenny for at least apologizing for that. Fatima asks if there's anything else that Kenny needs, and Kenny asks what it feels like to be connected to Smiley. She tells him that it's terrifying in a way that she can't really explain. Like, every night she goes to the window and looks outside knowing that one of those nights she's going to see him standing there staring at her. And honestly, that's terrifying. That would give me pee-pee pants city. I'd be freaking out. That is terrifying. I wouldn't want to feel that. Hell no, I wouldn't want to feel that. Anyway, afterwards, Kenny comes out of Fatima's room and he runs into Henry, who is taking or drinking a whole bottle of, potato vodka from the bar, and he keeps a stash on hand to take the edge off. And this is where I got to interject one thing. I'm pretty sure it's potato vodka. I don't know what it's like to distill that in a town that is ran of nightmares. It probably tastes like nightmares, but I'm a big Chopin fan. I don't know if you guys know what that is. I hope I pronounced that right. It's a type of potato vodka. I'm not a big drinker, but I do like a dirty martini. And I do like a Chopin vodka, which is a potato vodka, and it's really good. I don't understand why a lot of people in earlier seasons were like, oh, this is shit. Potato vodka is pretty good, at least if you do it right. Whatever. Anyway, back to the overall point. Apparently, Henry keeps the stash in his room because he's reliving his alcoholic days from back when he was in the real world and not in From World. And I don't know. I have some thoughts about Henry in this episode. We're going to get to it because it absolutely comes back to it. But there's a time and place for that, and that's not right this second, because up next, we cut to Christy, who goes into the ambulance because she's wondering why Mariel's taking so long. And when she goes in, she sees Mariel is terrified sitting down. Christy asks what's wrong, and Mariel says nothing, and that she needs a minute, and she keeps reassuring Christy that she's fine. And by the way, I realize, and I'm sure maybe I got one comment of this by now at this point. I know I keep switching for some reason between Mariel and Mariel. I get it. I know. I'm not going to say I'm going to try to pick one, but like, I'm just firing off here, guys. I'm just firing off. Sometimes it happens, but I'm going to try. I think it's Mariel, whatever. Let's try to stick with that for now. Anyway, after that, she runs off and Christy's like, no, nothing's fine. No, like, clearly nothing's fine. Whatever. They cut back to it later. We cut then to Donna, Ellis, Patty, and Roger, and they're putting rocks in the dolls so they could put them back in the water, because Donna doesn't want to find out if there's something bad in that water. I still think it's a stupid freaking idea. As we came to learn, it is a stupid freaking idea. Well, it wasn't really a stupid freaking idea, but it was like, why? I know I said that 3 times. Whatever. Anyway, Ethan and Tabitha come over from burying the bird, and they start packing rocks in the dolls. And as they do so, Tabitha has a flashback, and she remembers her dream with the dolls. Donna spots this as she's like oh shit, I remember this, like having a That's So Raven moment. Tabitha gets asked by Donna to like pull over and go do something. So Donna says that she saw the look on her face and asks what's going on. And Tabitha says that there's something about those dolls and she thinks they're familiar, but she doesn't know what it means. She thinks she's seen them before, and Tabitha is trying to remember. Donna's consistently asking, what does this mean? Tell me, what does this mean? And Donna's like, I don't know. I don't freaking know. I just remembered this. Which is, bro, yeah, obviously she just freaking remembered. Anyway, Tabitha doesn't know. There's something in the lake to be afraid of. She's not sure what it is, but she just remembers and has a flashback with these dolls in general. And as that's being done, Ellis comes and says that they're ready to put the dolls back in the lake, so they go ahead and do so. After this, we cut to Jade, who's chasing down the younger version of himself, and he catches up to him asking what it means that he's going to see things that he doesn't want to see. Boyd tells Jade in this moment that they could stop, and as he does, Jade hears the violin again, and it leads them to the colony house where he sees a younger version of himself, young Jade, playing the violin. And he looks over, he sees Christopher, he sees the soldier, he sees the skull guy, and he sees the crushed guy all playing violin outside of the colony house. Jade asks where I'm getting excited because this is a very exciting part of the episode. We're going to save the juicy part for when the reveal happens, but oh man, this is really good. Anyway, Jade asks where they are, and he says they're outside of Colony House, and young Jade says that he warned Jade, and the answers you sought come wrapped in painful truths. So I guess that's the reason that he didn't want him like that. Is that I don't think that's a good reason. Yeah, like if this character wants to get out, he better face painful truths. You know what I mean? I don't understand why that's like a horrible thing. Whatever, doesn't matter. Anyway, we cut away from this, even though I really wanted to, in the moment, I was like, come on, I just want to see the outcome of this. We get it. And I'm doing the same thing to you right now. But I promised you guys I was going to break it down scene by scene. That's how I'm doing it. Anyway, after this, we cut to Henry drinking in Colony House. Victor comes in concerned for him. And again, that soft moment, I don't know why, it's a small detail, but it's the way Scott McCord delivers that line to as Victor to his dad, saying like, Dad, like I never heard that side of him. And I'm so glad we're getting to see that. And I feel like this is the thing that I've been concerned of in these last couple episodes. And I feel like it's actually being brought to the flesh in this episode now. And it's that Henry, understandably, is super weak. Like, Victor is probably the strongest person there, mentally at least. Yes, we do see him act like a kid. We do see him get really emotional. We see him peeing his pants like he did. But he has seen the worst of worst shit and compartmentalizes it in a way that no one else can. And it's a really interesting parallel that we're seeing Henry on the opposite end of that, being the father of Victor, being the one who's supposed to kind of like be in shape and in charge because he spent so much time in the real world. But no, he's really fucking broken. And it makes sense. He lost his family. He never knew where they went. They never were declared really, maybe they were declared dead, but they never found them. So there was no resolution up until now. Now he's learning that his wife was eaten by a mystical figure in a mystical land. So it's really interesting to see how Victor has like done a complete 180, and Victor is like the really strong one. And Henry is the weak one. That is, when I say weak, I don't necessarily mean that in a bad way. I'm just being honest about what it is. Like, he's the weak one. He can't handle it. So his way of handling it is to get as drunk as possible and cause a ruckus through Colony House. And he ends up at the piano. And I don't know the name of the song. You know what? When I made notes and prep for this video, I should have wrote this down. I'm pissed I didn't. But it's the song where it says like, all my bags are packed, I'm ready to go, I'm outside your door. I'm right now I'm reading off of the lyrics, whatever. I don't know the name of that song, but he's singing that. And I do think the way that his actor, whose name is escaping me at the moment, delivers that is really powerful, because he's clearly breaking down as he's singing, and he's drunk and all of that stuff. And it's a really sad moment because he asks Victor if he remembers when they used to play it as a child, and he's just breaking down so much. And Victor is a mix of a lot of things: embarrassed, traumatized over what he told his dad, feeling regret for what he's told his dad because he didn't want to break his dad, and all of that stuff. And it's just such a sad, awkward thing for him. And it only gets worse because Henry's crying and breaks down more. And then Kenny comes in to stop him. But Henry freaks out even more of this, saying, who the fuck are you to tell me? What do you know what you did? All of this stuff. And he's saying, like, do you know what he did to my wife? Victor, show him. Victor, show him. And he's like, he screams to Victor, what is wrong with you? And all of that stuff. And it's just such a sad thing for Victor to experience, because this is he's watching his dad, the only family he has left, break down further because of what this place has took away from him to begin with. Man, I love Victor's character. I absolutely adore Victor's character. And it's just, honestly, to me, he's aging like fine wine. He is getting better and better with time. And the more we learn, the more we see, the more I fall in love with this character. And it's just showing here. And it's showing how much he's going up the ranks while Henry isn't. And again, I'm not really saying that because I dislike Henry's character. That's not what I mean. But they're doing a really interesting juxtapose where Victor is really kind of like coming out, not on top, it's not a competition, but like on top of this. And it's a very interesting arc for his character. Anyway, after this, we cut right to Tabitha, who looks at the totems. She's looking at the totems longingly. I keep using that word. And in the background, Donna and Ethan are talking. And Ethan asks, and this is a detail that is going to stick with me. Ethan asks what the fire is for. And Donna says, hold on, you're telling me we didn't bring marshmallows? Ethan asks if they're going to be okay. And she says, of course. And Ethan doesn't want Julie to be alone. Donna says first thing in the morning, they're going to wake up, grab their packs, and get the heck out of here. And then Ethan says this, and if my Walking Dead ears perked the fuck up at this, and I hope to God all it was this like fake out scene we got in this episode. But my freaking Lanta, Ethan says that he likes when she's here. Like, he's like, I like it when you're here. It's not as scary when you're around. I swear to fucking Christ, if that is foreshadowing for Donna, I'm going out onto the streets and freaking out. I was going to say something worse that I probably shouldn't say. No, I'm not even going to say it. But seriously, if anything freaking happens to Donna, I'm rioting. Nothing. That woman better not fucking die. Not on my watch. Okay? Seriously. I'm just joking. But seriously, I hope not, because I'm coming from Walking Dead land where things like that, people say shit like that and shit happens. And I hope to God that he was just saying that it was a foreshadow for what almost happened to Donna in this episode and nothing else. They better not kill off Donna. They better not kill her off. I'll be crying. I will make a review crying if something like that happens. And again, I do think this is an important time to reiterate this fact, because again, like I just want to reinforce this like a broken record. At the time of me recording this, all I did was watch up to this episode. By the time I edited this video, I've seen everything, at least up to what I've been given. But at the time of me speaking these words, right this very moment, I have only seen up to this episode. And what I do is I watch the episode, then I take notes on the episode and usually watch it a second time. Then I film this and the theory video before jumping in to the next episode. So yes, I got screeners, but no, I didn't change the way I make this content. This gave me the ability to go more in depth before an episode airs, which is a blessing. It is an absolute blessing. But I haven't seen anything further. So this is just me speculating. And again, me speculating right now, they better not fucking do anything. They better not freaking do. I will be so pissed if they do something to Donna. But I really do think this was, honestly, I think this was really just the setup for the fake out that happened with her later in this episode, which we're going to get into. But it's stuff like that. Again, pee-pee pants city. I'm going on too much. Whatever. After this scene, we see it's the next scene we see Sophia is listening to Randall and Julie's conversation, because Julie and Randall are arguing about the ruins. Randall's saying that the place is fucking with her, with Julie, and fucking with her head because it knows how much you miss your dad, and that these ruins are like a bad thing and they're going to lead her down a further bad path. But Julie claims that it's because he's scared of the ruins. Julie's willing to take the risks with the seizures and all that stuff, and Randall's just trying to bring her back to reality. He's being a good, he's really looking after her in a good sense. And I'm glad so far it doesn't feel like And I hope no one online is like shipping them. I really hope, because it shouldn't go that way. It really shouldn't. I like this caring, mutual respect sort of relationship that they have. And I hope it's not seen in the eyes of people of like, oh, this is going to be like the two of them are getting together. I hope not. Don't pull an Arya Stark, please. Don't do that. Where the last episode we got like, whatever. Anyway, I don't want to see that. Whatever. Whatever. Anyway, as we're seeing this, Sophia gives a smirk, and it looks like, not that she's laughing, but she's like, ha, bitch. Like, that's what she kind of looks like. And then she goes upstairs, which, by the way, makes me think, maybe that is the case. Maybe it is true that Sophia or the man in yellow is intentionally putting Julie down this path to fuck with her. Maybe not. I don't know. Or maybe she's smirking that Randall is trying to instill some doubt in Julie. Maybe Randall's involved. I don't fucking know. Maybe Randall's involved with the man in yellow. Like, I don't know. Maybe Sophia's smirking because Randall is dissuading Julie. I don't know. That's really interesting to me. But anyway, after this, Sophia goes up the stairs. And when she goes up the stairs, she sees Mariel, Christy, like Christy's walking in, whatever. Anyway, sorry, I messed that up. Mariel, not Christy, geez. Mariel is walking into the hallway where Sophia is. They bump into each other, and Sophia grabs Mariel's hand or arm. And as soon as she does, Mariel gets strapped to the wall again and is put in shackles, but the shackles are in her brain. And what's really interesting to me about this scene is, first off, right after that happens, Christy comes and gets Mariel off the wall, and Mariel realizes there were no shackles, and they were just seeing her go like this with no shackles and all of that stuff. But what's really interesting to me, and I'm surprised this wasn't addressed, is Sophia is staring at Mariel when this happens. And I know Mariel, when she's in this state, she goes somewhere else, like mentally, she's somewhere else. But even when she's snapped out of it, Sophia's still staring like creepy, staring right at her. Don't you see that? Like, what? How do you not put two and two together? Especially later in the episode when Sophia starts going down the path of saying that you might be I forget what it says. We're going to come to it, but you might be a preacher or whatever for God or whatever his will. Even then, Mariel's like, not like, well, why were you acting like this? You know what I mean? I don't know. It was just something interesting that I picked up. Whatever. Anyway, after this, we cut back to Jade, and he watches as Christopher, the soldier, the Crush guy, and the Ankooey guy stop playing the violin. And Jade asks young Jade why they stopped playing, and why they're here, and why were they playing that song in general. And young Jade says, you know why. And he comes to the realization, this is the big reveal of the episode. This is there's a couple of big reveals of the episode, but this is the big one. And they come to the realization that all of those people, the people that Jade's been seeing throughout the whole show, they're all him. Christopher's him. The Ankooey guy is him. The crushed guy, the soldier, these are all versions of Jade. And what's really interesting is young Jade says this is some of them and many more, assuring that those are just some of the many reincarnations. And he continues saying, look at them closely. What do you see? So Jade goes around, he observes all of them, and he sees that they all died, clearly, but they all died by seemingly not the monsters. He comes to the realization that these people were all murdered. And Jade asks young Jade who murdered them. And young Jade says, you know who, and then continues speaking in, I'm assuming French, saying minnows in a shark's net, which is really interesting. And I'm going to be saving this. I'm going to look into this, and maybe we'll make a video talking about this separate. I don't know, to be determined. I'm working on my explained videos right now as we speak. But young Jade says that it's always the same. Once they learn the truth about who you are, that it was you that the children were calling for. First they blame you, then they hate you, and eventually they kill you. And this is really, really interesting to me, because it reveals that these children mean something. Like what they were calling for. We're going to have to deep dive into this later. I don't have time to do this in the breakdown, but that is very fucking interesting. And it gets even more interesting because Jade asks, what about Tabitha? And young Jade says, for Tabitha, it's worse. And they don't go into what the hell that means. And I'm really worried about Tabitha now. Like, very genuinely worried about her, because Tabitha is the mother of these children. Like, excuse me. don't fuck with my Tabitha. Don't do this. Just like Donna, don't fuck with my Donna. I mean, look, I'm being honest. Donna's my favorite character in the whole show. They better not fuck with Donna. But Tabitha is the same sort of thing. They can't fuck with Tabitha. She may not be my favorite character, but they can't do this. Anyway, whatever. Jade then says, if I die every time, what are you saying? Are you saying that there's no way home? And he starts freaking out and all this stuff. And as Jade's freaking out, young Jade walks and goes inside the colony house. There's another big reveal there that we are going to get into towards a very, very big reveal there that we're going to get into. But this is huge on its own because it's now solidified, even though we all kind of knew, it's now really solidified that these people that Jade's been seeing over and over, these are versions of Jade. And there's many, many more apparently. So how many times has this cycle been happening? How many freaking times? I don't know. Anyway, whatever. After this, we cut back to Kenny and Victor, and they bring Henry up to the bedroom. And some random lady who asks if Victor's okay. I don't know who that lady is, but she was there in the background, and she follows him up and asks if Victor's going to be okay. Victor says that he's going to take care of Henry, and that'll be fine. And Kenny asks what Henry was talking about earlier, and Victor shows him the picture of the man in yellow eating Miranda, and he tells Kenny about the man in the yellow suit eating his mother in general. And then Victor says that he just should have never told Henry. And yeah, I mean, honestly, knowing what we know now about Henry and his response and all of that stuff, yeah, I don't think he should have. I really don't. I get it. And it makes for good storytelling. And it was very interesting to see to me. But like, yeah, from Victor's perspective, he is right. He probably shouldn't have shown him that, because all that did is going to dismantle him even further, clearly. And I think that's what they're setting up with this season, at least what it feels like to me. They're setting up this idea of him just going further and further down the hole. And that sucks. But I think it's going to be interesting. I have a feeling that they'll do that justice. I think they don't do that for no reason. There's no way. Whatever. Anyway, after this, we cut back to Jade, and Jade follows young Jade. This gets confusing talking about Jade and Jade, going through the colony house and into the basement. So Jade follows him down there, and he follows him to a collection of belongings on the wall. And Jade asks young Jade why they're down there, and he replies, "You have to clear the way to see the path," in French. So then him and Boyd start clearing everything from the wall, and it's revealed that there's a hidden door behind the belongings. It's an old wooden door. And Boyd also sees this door. Now, I understand that this was all a hallucination, but they wouldn't do this for nothing. This is a big reveal. Maybe, I don't know what this means, but this is definitely a big reveal. Anyway, after this, we cut back to Sophia. Sophia gives water to Mariel and Christy. This is the scene that I'm referring to from earlier. Mariel is asked what happens to her in the ambulance, and she says that the radio came on, and she heard all of them screaming, and explains that all of them is everyone, every single person who's ever died in this town. And she says that's what it was like for her in the chamber, and that all she could hear and feel was the suffering of everyone who's died here. And she says that hearing all the pain and all of the horror shot right through her. And then Sophia comes in. This is the part where I'm like, bro, you're sus. If I was playing Among Us, I'd call you out right now. I'd kick you off. You know what I mean? Sophia comes out of nowhere and says, "You're a prophet." Mariel gets really pissed about this and says, "What?" And Sophia says that maybe God has chosen you to hear their suffering. Mariel gets really pissed about it and walks away. And in this moment, she should have been like, I gotta go. Hey, bitch, why the fuck were you looking at me like that, you sussy baka? You know what I mean? She has every freaking right on the planet to feel that way. Whatever. Anyway, Christy says that she's seen this happen to people before, and that this place gets into people's head. And she's right, it does. But Mariel tells Christy that this feels different. There's something old here, something ancient, and it's feeding off of our suffering, and it doesn't stop. Even after we die, we're still trapped here, and we never get to leave. And yes, we saw this from the trailer. This was in the trailer, but I actually do feel like this is kind of the answer to the story, because Sophia looks at Mariel, and she's looking at her with a little smirk. She starts to say it, and Sophia's like, eh? Which is another interesting, bro. This is happening right in front of you. This is right in front of you. Dude, look at her. Look at her. She's right in front of you, being sus as fuck. Just, It's all in front of you. Oh my God. Oh my God. As an audience member, it drives me insane. It drives me insane. But obviously I understand that maybe it's not so obvious to these characters. But to me, I'm like, oh my God, it's right in front of you. Just look at her. Just look at her. She's being sus. She is being sus. I don't know how anyone's not seeing it. Whatever. Anyway, after this, we cut back to Donna, Tabitha, and all of them. They're all in the cabin in the village at night. And it feels like this scene is not ripped straight from, but this is like almost in the beginning of it is like almost one for one of the episode of The Walking Dead where they're all in the barn. Carl's asleep and they're all looking at Carl and Carol says like, oh, he bounces back. Kids always do, and all of its stuff, and like how he's so grown up from this. They have this like exact moment, it feels like, in this episode where Ellis is saying that sometimes that he forgets that he's just a kid and he always seems like a grown-up, and then Tabitha is like boasting about how Jim called him a little professor and he's always so curious and full of questions. It really genuinely to me felt like that season 5 of The Walking Dead scene where Rick says, "We are the Walking Dead." Anyway, whatever. So after all this, and after Tabitha says that he's like the little professor and always so curious and full of questions, Roger snaps in and says, maybe he could figure out what's in the goddamn lake. And then Donna has this face is like, stop it. I just think it's so funny. I don't know. And Patty then asks how much longer to sunrise. And as Donna starts to reply, they hear the humming in the distance of a girl, and Tabitha instantaneously recognizes that humming as part of her dream from when she was a girl. So Tabitha starts freaking the hell out because then she remembers, because she knows that sound is from her dolls. She explains to everyone that they were smaller, they were hers, and she was playing with them. And then there was a man, and he got angry, and he came and took them from her. And he said he gave him nightmares. So then he threw him in the lake. But one day the man died, and his nightmares, the nightmares that we just saw, they came out of the lake. And that's exactly what we freaking saw. This is a very vivid dream, Tabitha. Jesus Christ. I barely get REM sleep, which is another problem. Maybe it's the reason I still have this freaking boil on my nose after all of this time. Whatever. Anyway, Tabitha warns them that the talismans won't protect them from this, and they have to leave. And as she's saying that, a doll breaks in through the freaking cabin, and it kills the absolute shit out of Roger. But before we get to that, I just have to say, I have to point this out. How does Tabitha know that the talismans aren't going to work? This is one of those reveals. Now, I don't think this was bad. I'm willing to suspend a little bit of disbelief when it comes to the way they get to these reveals and stuff like that. I'm okay with that. But it does feel very interesting to me that she just automatically knew the talisman aren't going to work for this, and we have to leave, we have to run. All from her dream. They didn't really connect the two of those together in a way where I'm like, oh, well, that makes sense. Because yes, they did show the flashback where young Tabitha looks up and she's screaming at the dolls. But how did she know that the talisman weren't going to work for that? If you have an answer to that, let me know in the comments. But it feels like they just had to throw that line in there to basically explain that. Anyway, whatever. Then the freaking thing, the doll breaks into the house. This is the big thing that I've been freaking out about since the day I interviewed Liz Saunders, because I found out, by the way, I just got to cut to this. I found out that the day I was interviewing Liz is when the trailer dropped. So my whole trajectory of what I was going to ask her changed, because then these freaking monsters were there and you could see the back of her head in the trailer. You could see Donna was in there. So I was like, Donna better not fucking die. Then we get the scene with her where she almost died in this episode. But I don't know. Ever since Liz told me that when I had my interview, I was like, not that Liz didn't say anything that gave anything away or anything like that. But after that interview I had with her, I was like, I hope Donna's not on the chopping block here. I was getting worried, and it came close this episode. I was freaking the hell out, but thank God it didn't. Anyway, that was a little bit of a tangent, but after they kill the absolute living shit out of Roger by doing the fist thing, I can't get my fist in my, I was going to do that. I'm not going to do that on camera. All right, but he does that. After that, they all run outside, and Patty gets grabbed by one of them, and it takes her and it burns her face off, basically, which is crazy. But then Ellis comes from behind and hits it, and then it stops. But as this is happening, Tabitha is having a flashback about the totems and remembers that she could use them as a weapon. So after the burning of the face and Ellis hitting one of them, it cuts to Donna, who is telling Tabitha and Ethan that they have to run, which is like, bro, come on. Yeah, turn your back. Really? Turn your fucking back. Are you kidding me? Tabitha turns her back and says, we have to run. One of the dolls comes behind her and grabs Tabitha and starts strangling her. Grabs Donna. I said Tabitha. Grabs Donna and starts strangling her. I was freaking out. I was like, fucking kill Donna. I can't tell you how many times I've had to say that in this video. They better not freaking kill Donna. Dear Lord, oh my Lanta. I was freaking out. Oh God. But then the bigger reveal is that Tabitha kills one of them with the totem, which is absolutely crazy. So now we know that there is a solidified way to kill these monsters in some way. And yes, these ones are different. Tabitha does say very plainly that the talismans aren't going to work for these monsters. So I have no idea what that is going to mean in terms of if these totems will eventually work on other things. But this in and of itself is a big reveal, because it reveals that these totems are actually real. They're actually doing something, and they are actually going to have ramifications in the story. That is a huge reveal. That is a gigantic reveal. And it's crazy that it works. It's absolutely crazy that it worked. So after Tabitha kills the one that's strangling Donna with the totem, the other monster sees this with its hand still on fire and just waddles away. Like, bro, why don't you kill that freaking thing? You know that thing's still out there. What the hell? But either way, it's crazy because now Tabitha remembers how to hurt them. I don't know why. They didn't really explain this or anything like that, but absolutely crazy. Really genuinely absolutely crazy. So anyways, after that, we cut back. That's a crazy scene. After that, we cut back to Jade, and he walks through the door after they take it down, the wooden door that young Jade gets revealed, and this is the end of the episode. And what's inside is a long, long lit tunnel. So Jade starts to walk down it. Initially, Boyd is like talking him out of it, but then Jade walks down it further. He grabs a lantern, and eventually the end of this long hallway leads to where the tunnels are, where the monsters sleep. And as he gets down there, he finds Boyd again, and Boyd says Capricorn for the first time, which is their safe word. But anyway, Jade doesn't really listen, and he ends up still going on, and he gets to what looks like some sort of temple where the kids were sacrificed within the tunnel, and young Jade leads right to it. And young Jade confirms that this is where the children were sacrificed, which is so interesting. And he asks how knowing that gets everyone home, and he keeps asking young Jade over and over again how to save the kids. And then young Jade walks away, and out of nowhere, all the monsters come, circle Jade, and the one blonde-haired one says, "Hi, Jade, you should have listened to Boyd, but you were never really the smart one, were you?" So they're all circling him, they're all coming in, they're all coming closer, and then they push him into the center of the temple thing that they built, and they push him right into the grave, and they close the grave on top of him, and when Jade looks within it, when he's like buried in it, he sees one of the kids, and the kid says, "Ankooey," and Jade freaks out. And when Jade freaks out, it then cuts to him like waking up in the post office, the police station's chair, and Boyd grabs him, and he's all confused, asking how the fuck they got there. And Boyd says, which is interesting, they never left and that they've been sitting here for hours. Obviously, this causes Jade to panic because everything that was just discovered was in his head. But Jade's freaking out, saying that there was more, there was so much more. And he comes to the realization that he knows where they are, he knows where the kids are, and he knows what he has to do to go home and how to save the children. He's shaking Boyd as he does this, and Boyd is like, uh-huh. And then it ends. That's the episode. Man, this was a jam-packed fucking episode. And honestly, I just have to say this. Episodes 3 and 4, I'm not going to say they were bad. I refuse to do that because they weren't. They were very substantial, very informative, good episodes where we need to have these characters talking. But those two episodes did not have the pace that episodes 1 and 2 had. And now this one finally picks that pace back up. And I hope this sets us on a good trajectory. I couldn't get that word out, Jesus. Sets us on a good trajectory where these next few episodes are just keeping up this pace, because now the story is in motion. We've got so many big reveals here. We got the reveal that for certain we met all of Jade's most important reincarnations and that there's been many others. We know that there is this temple down there and Jade seems to have an idea of how to get home. There's this door in Colony House, at least in his hallucination. which if that thing turns out to be real, that's a major freaking reveal in the right direction for Jade. We see Tabitha using the totems. We get the reveal that these monsters, that village out there is where nightmares seemingly come alive, which adds another level of mystery. Man, this is a good episode. And I could see some people giving pushback saying they just revealed another big thing with these monsters and the nightmares and all of that stuff. But I don't know. I think it's okay to leave certain things open to interpretation, or I think they're probably going to answer it. I'm sure they are, because they wouldn't just address this for no reason. But man, I got to tell you, this was a huge freaking episode. This is great because we're seeing that midway through, these writers are giving us real answers. John Griffin's doing a fantastic job. I'm really, really enjoying this. I'm having so much fun with it, even if there's things like in there, Tabitha, the way she explains things and it didn't really make sense. I'm willing to subvert, or not subvert my expectations. I'm willing to suspend a little bit of disbelief to immerse myself in the story. And I think this show just does such an incredible job with it, where not for a moment do I feel like I'm pulled out of it. A lot of shows, I think, break immersion. And I know some people online say there's things in there's acting or some things that people don't like with the show. I honestly don't feel that way. I think the acting is fantastic in the show. I think the writing is really, really, really strong. I really genuinely like everything about the production of this show. And I think my point to saying that is there are idiosyncrasies. Every show has them. They're not perfect. But this is one of those shows where I'm very willing to just ignore those idiosyncrasies because the story is strong enough for me not to consider them. Does that make any sense? Like, another example, the CGI with the monster coming in, not the world's best, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't really need to be. It's okay. Like, it was good. It told an interesting story that I'm really interested to see what it means. So to me, it's like, okay, the trade-off, a little bit of bad CGI. I get it. The budget of the show isn't insane. And I like, you know what I mean? Those little trade-offs, I'm okay if the story does justice, and the story is doing justice to me. So I'm willing to suspend a little bit of disbelief for minor idiosyncrasies that really don't matter much because they're not immersion breaking. It would matter if they were, but they're not, at least not to me. So that's how I felt about this episode. This is definitely the longest I've gone ever recording a video consecutively. I only took one break to burp. And that's how you know this is pretty freaking good. Maybe 2 breaks. I might have burped twice. I just ate dinner before this. TMI, whatever. Anyway, definitely let me know your thoughts down there in the comments. Get subscribed if you aren't already. And with all that out of the way, thank you again so much for watching this video. And until the next one, I'll talk to you later. Peace out.